Hi, I'm Mike Bechtel. We look through the long lens to make heads or tails of where the world's headed, to harness tailwinds, dodge headwinds, and arrive at our preferred tomorrows ever so slightly ahead of schedule. This is Brief Histories of the Future.
Welcome to the Brief Histories of the Future.
Andreas, it's such a pleasure to have you here today. I'm so impressed with your mashup of brain-computer interfaces, artificial intelligence, and augmented reality wearables. What are you guys cooking?
Well, we're cooking up essentially a way that people can interact with the world in entirely different ways. We think about it not as AR, as an augmented reality, but we think about it as an assisted reality. So thinking about assisted reality is this idea of augmented reality with useful applications that can support you in the moment so that it's aware of your environment and what you're trying to do and helps you do things with less effort. So when we think about this, we've been mostly focused on helping people that need it the most. So individuals that might have a disability. The trigger that got me into this, thinking about it and sort of the burning fire, and that had to do when my mom went into the hospital with pneumonia. I had to communicate with the nurses and everyone that was providing care on her behalf, even though she was alert and awake. It was at that moment when I realized how precious communication is.
Andreas, how big is the disabled population?
Well, the disabled population today is about 15% of the world's population, or 1 billion people. So if you forecast out 30, 40 years from now, we're gonna see a massive senior population, right? So more people will be in their hundreds. We call it the silver tsunami, where you have this emergent need for caregiver support and accessibility. So from birth to death for individuals with disabilities, plus everyone else, healthy individuals who just age naturally. There's gonna be a lot of people that need some kind of augmentation. We're doing something that people can put on their head, and it can monitor brain waves in real time within the headset. Not only can I interact with the content using my mental fixation.
Okay. And mental fixation means?
Yeah, a really simplistic example is if I had 4 boxes in front of me that were holograms, I could tell you very, very fast through your brainwaves which of those 4 items you're paying attention to.
What are some examples of what comes next?
You think about this into the 2100 and even beyond, where truly our experience of the world is going to be totally different. Think about smart cities, think about 5G, 6G, 7G, 8G, right? Think about the speed at which things can happen at the edge. Then you have this super dynamic interface where the human is actually part of the city. It's part of the built environment, right? So the built environment itself becomes sort of quasi-digital in the sense that I can now interact with things, robots, public transit, people. I can communicate in English and I can display it in Chinese. You can truly get to the point where you have telepathic connections with other people, like your squad, your friends, right? And most of the world will say that's impossible. But guess what? It's impossible until it's possible. Right? And we want to be at the front end of that. Think about this. If we could employ 100 million people with disabilities using cognition technology, and they could generate an income of $20,000 each, that's a $2 trillion increase to GDP.
Sure.
Right? And that's within reach.
There's a real rising tide raising all boats story. Because as you said, if the GDP is improving, if there's a meaningful economic impact, everybody wins. So this is really assisting everyone by assisting those who need it most.